I'm just a regular 43-year-old mom, but I'm also a former teacher, and I've been sending kids back to school for over 10 years now. So let's just say I've learned a few things, like the fact that you do not need to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get your kid ready to go back to school and to feel like a good parent. So as a 43-year-old mom with 3 school-age children who's been around this block a few times, instead of sharing with you all the things I'm buying for back to school, I thought I would flip the script and share with you some of the things that I am not buying, because I've learned a little bit. For instance, did I buy something like this once? Yes. Did it survive the school year? Not even close. It died a slow, sparkly death at the bottom of a backpack. Some people might call me a mean mom, but I like to think that I'm just at a point where I'm a little bit wiser and maybe kind of tired and a little bit cheap. So if you are a mom who is kind of over the Pinterest perfect household lifestyle mom life, and you are totally done with the pressure to buy all the things for back to school, then you are in the right place. Right off the bat, I am not buying school supplies that are not on the school supply list. Those supply lists are curated usually by multiple teachers across multiple years, and they know exactly what it is that they want us to send our kids to school with on the first day. When I was an elementary student back in the 1900s, crayons were a common school supply, and everybody would show up with their little 24 count box of crayons, but there'd always be that one kid who had the big 64 count box with the sharpener in it, and everybody would be clamoring to try to sit next to that kid so they could have access to all the extra colors and the crayon sharpener. I'm sure my teachers were just delighted. There's a reason why the teachers requested like that very specific count and kind of crayons. And teaching is a tough gig. Let's not make it any harder for them, right? If they asked for 12 colored pencils, this is what I'm buying. Not 50, not 150, 12. When my kids were a little younger, this was so easy for us because our school actually had an option to purchase your supplies through the PTA. You could just pay them money, and then they would go and buy the exact kinds, the exact counts, the exact brands that the teachers wanted, and it would be on your child's desk when they arrived on the first day of school. But when that was not an option, and now when it's not an option for my kids moving forward, I just stick with the list. I just stick with the school supply list that they send me. I am also not purchasing gimmick supplies. I'm talking about scented markers. I'm talking about glitter pens. I'm talking about the pencil cases that also have those little poppy fidget toy things on them. Or like those really trendy gel pens that come in packages of like 84, and like 3 or 4 of them you'll lose the lids, and 7 or 8 of them will dry out, and 10 of them will just disappear, and probably about 20 of them will never get used anyway because they're odd colors like beige or tan that you can't see when you write on the paper anyway. Listen, everybody loves a Mr. Sketch. These things are super fun. I'm not saying don't get them. I'm just saying get them for a birthday, get them for Christmas, keep them at your house. Don't send them to school unless the teacher has specifically asked for these. One more thing about school supplies, and this is probably going to come as a surprise to some of you who know me and who know my love for buying generic brands. I don't buy off-brand school supplies. I am buying Crayola, I am buying Ticonderoga, I am buying Elmer's. Those tried and true brands that have been around forever. I have learned my lesson trying to buy the store brand or the off brand of school supplies, especially anything having to do with colors like crayons, markers, color pencils. My exception to this is paper, you know, like loose leaf paper or copy paper if the teachers have requested that, or spiral notebooks or something. I will buy just, you know, whatever the store has out that's their brand. But when it comes to crayons, markers, colored pencils, pens, pencils, calculators, we're gonna stick with the names that we have known and trusted associated with school supplies for years. My kids are older now and have long since outgrown this, but even when they were little, I tried to stay away from licensed items. Lunch boxes and backpacks and clothing that have like Marvel characters or Disney characters, or, you know, different things like that, because eventually, and sometimes very quickly, they would outgrow it and not want to use it anymore. It's always just a little bit chaotic around here. We just accept a certain level of chaos in our household, but especially when we're getting ready to transition between seasons. So going back to school, getting everybody ready for that, including myself, and keeping up with my business and with our house, and my husband keeping up with his work, it comes with a little bit of stress, right? So yesterday, my husband and I got out of the house for a quick little walk in the morning, and we went to a coffee shop to get a coffee drink as a treat. In fact, you can see it in the background as I'm filming this video. video. But that is the thing that is sort of a splurge for us. We don't tend to spend a lot of money on specialty coffee drinks from coffee shops because it is so pricey. So the huge markup on fast food and quick service coffee drinks is one of the reasons why we predominantly make our coffee at home. And if you want to up your coffee game and still have high quality, delicious coffee at home and save boatloads of money, then you are gonna wanna check out today's sponsor, Trade Coffee. This little bag of coffee beans that I got from Trade filled my Yeti mug about 16 times. And this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and so many more. I get a new bag of coffee beans from Trade every couple of weeks, shipped right to my doorstep. And these are not grocery store coffees, and Trade isn't selling their own coffee. They're connecting you with great coffee from independent roasters all over the US. So you're getting to try a carefully crafted, high quality product, and you're supporting small businesses. Now, I am the weirdo who likes to drink hot coffee year round. But if you drink your coffee cold or you just want something cool and refreshing for the summer, then Trade is still for you. Trade has sourced the best beans from top roasters across the US, and now they have a special cold brew collection. They make it effortless to make your own cold brew at home that's both delicious and at an amazing value. And they don't just stop at the beans, they also provide expertly curated equipment that's easy to use so you can make amazing coffee at home that is both better flavor and a better value than cafes or concentrates. You can buy individual coffees from Trade, but I have actually had a Trade Coffee subscription for several months now. So every 2 weeks, they will send me a new bag of beans. But even if you don't have the setup to grind whole beans yet for your coffee, you can still request already ground coffee in your Trade subscription. And the great thing about that is that they will still roast the beans and grind the coffee right before they ship it to you, so you know it hasn't been sitting on a shelf somewhere for weeks or months. And right now, Trade is exclusively offering my viewers 50% off a 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/cmindymom. That's drinktrade, TRADE.com/cmindymom for 50% off a 1-month trial. drinktrade.com/cmindymom. And thank you again to Trade for sponsoring today's video. One of the things I do purchase for each one of my kids at the beginning of school each year is a good quality name brand pair of shoes, because I don't buy cheap shoes anymore for back to school. In the beginning, I thought, oh, I'm just gonna buy inexpensive shoes because their feet grow so fast. But I learned that the shoes would actually wear out and tear up before their feet actually outgrew them. So I started instead to just buy one good quality pair of shoes, and they would wear them until they outgrew them. And for school, I'm specifically talking about a good quality tennis shoe. You know, I do not want to send my kids to school in Crocs. I don't want to send them to school in flip-flops. I want to send them in a good quality shoe because they're moving around a lot. In the last few years, I've splurged on brands like Converse and Nike and Reebok and Vans, K-Swiss. And the shoes that I purchased for my 2 younger children that they wore with their uniforms lasted the entire year. I didn't have to buy another pair of uniform shoes for them all year long because I invested in a good quality pair. I bought them about a half size big so that they had room to grow in them, and we made it through the whole year without another pair of shoes. As opposed to cutting a corner and buying the inexpensive shoes, but then having to buy multiple pairs of them across the year. This next one should go without being said, but you'd be surprised. I'm not buying stuff that isn't allowed. We honor the dress code. If they say they don't want shoes with wheels or lights, we don't buy shoes with wheels or lights. Our oldest child didn't get a phone until she was 15, and our 2 younger ones still don't have phones. None of them have smartwatches, but if the schools say, please do not send those things, we would definitely honor that. If there are rules for the kinds of things and decorations they can have in their lockers, we don't try to sneak something through. As I said before, I was a teacher. I was in the classroom for 11 years, and I know sometimes that some of these rules exist for a very specific reason, or because something has happened in the past that necessitated this very specific prohibition of whatever the item is. We do not buy makeup for our preteen daughter. We do purchase skincare items. We want all of our kids to learn how to properly wash their face and hydrate their face and protect it from the sun. But as far as makeup goes, our oldest daughter, who is a sophomore in high school, has really just started to kind of get into that and to learn how to do that properly for her skin after years of skincare, caring for her skin properly. But I was seeing girls as young as 3rd or 4th grade wearing makeup to my kids' schools. I was seeing them as young as like 5th grade wearing a full face of makeup like I would wear to shoot this video. For one thing, good quality makeup is kind of expensive, and so you want to apply it properly, you want to care for it properly, make sure that it doesn't get lost, that it doesn't get spilled, that it doesn't, you know, have the caps left off of it and dry out. And I just personally think that that is a thing that my kids need to maybe a little bit older to know how to use appropriately, and so that we can make sure that we're getting like really good quality products. And if some of these things seem like no-brainers, or they just seem like odd items to be considered back to school supplies, I'm actually coming up with this list based on things that I'm seeing other people purchase, things that I'm seeing on Amazon, on Walmart, on other retailer pages, ads for things that are showing up in social media and are using the back to school angle to sell them or to have sales. Now, I just want to say that this list is not prescriptive. You don't have to not buy the things I'm not buying or buy the things that I am buying. I'm just trying to give some perspective and some encouragement for all of us to stop and think about why we're purchasing the things that we're purchasing. Am I purchasing this thing right now because we truly need it right now? Or am I purchasing it right now because this back to school sale says I need it and it seems like a really good deal? Even though I invest in a good quality pair of shoes for each of my kids at the start of school, I do not buy an entire new wardrobe for them. We do not do a bunch of brand new back to school clothes. We live in Oklahoma. In our part of the country, school tends to start right around the middle of August. So it is still summer, and it will still be summer for at least another month. And then for a month after that, we will still have very warm temperatures in the daytime. It is not really time yet for jeans and jackets and sweaters.
Oh, sweater weather. Sweater weather. Sweater weather.
Oh. So what I have been doing is having them look back through their wardrobe from spring and anything that we've added to it over the summer, and pick out, you know, the things that are in good shape, that are school appropriate, of course. And then we might just add a few new pieces to that to kind of freshen everything up. I realize this might not work with very young kids, but at least with very young kids, there are a lot more things available at consignments and in thrift stores and secondhand stores. I do not find that to be the case with my older kids, but eventually we arrived at a point where they weren't growing out of things as quickly. And there are things that still fit well, that still look nice, that we can still use because we're essentially in the same season that we were in when school ended. Now, we have one child in public school and we have 2 children in private school, and our private school kids wear uniforms. And this concept still works for them too. At the end of the school year, I have them get rid of anything that is like stained or torn or obviously not in great shape. And we just store the pieces that were in great shape. And now at the beginning of the school year, I will have them try everything on and see what still fits, make any adjustments. For instance, my daughter has grown enough that I've got to take the hem out of her skirt, let it down a little bit. But we really only need to purchase, you know, a handful of new items to supplement what they already have. And I'm going to save some of that clothing budget for later on in the fall when it gets cooler and we want to actually buy some new things to add to their wardrobe, since it will have been almost a year since they've worn some of their winter stuff. And just a few things to add to the uniforms of my little ones will get us through until the weather turns and we need to buy some different items altogether, because, you know, we're not going to wear like shorts and t-shirts through the winter. Or maybe we will, because this is Oklahoma, and I can honestly say from experience that sometimes in December it is 80 degrees and sometimes it is 8 degrees. But yeah, we're still wearing summer clothes now, so I'm not buying all brand new ones. And I want to give a word of encouragement for any parents out there that might be jumping into the school uniform thing for the first time. I freaking love it. And it actually takes away a little bit of the chaos from those school mornings when we know there's no question this is what we wear, period, end of story. We actually spend less money on our kids who wear school uniforms than we do on our child who does not. I mean, let's face it, kids usually wear like the same 6 or 8 items anyway, right? That's how my kids were. Along those same lines, another category of items I'm not buying for back to school: things that do not need to be replaced. I think sometimes I have used the excuse of, oh, it's back to school, to get something new and shiny when we have that item already from the previous year and it's still useful. For instance, this is my 11-year-old son's new lunchbox. He got a new lunchbox because he used the same lunchbox for 2 years. And at the end of that second year, it was pretty gross. I mean, that was 4th and 5th grade. So you can imagine a 4th and 5th grade boy's lunchbox after 2 years of packing lunches in school cafeterias and getting it, you know, kicked around the playground at recess. My 2 daughters' lunchboxes, though, really just need a quick run through the washing machine and they'll be fine. They're in great shape. These were new last year. We're not going to replace them this year just for the sake of having something new. Other items we might reuse are backpacks if they're in great shape, sports gear if it's in good shape, lunch packing containers, water bottles. You get the idea. I also have never purchased a label maker. I have never really jumped on that bandwagon. If you have one already and you want to use it to label your kids back to school stuff, fine, but I'm probably not purchasing special labels or label makers specifically for school supplies. If there are things we want to label, we just use the OG, baby. What are you not buying for back to school? Leave me a comment and let me know, and I will see you in the next video.